What is one secret that million-dollar law firm owners know that you might not know? It's how you take care of your health sets up your entire life. I was at a mastermind a couple weeks ago, and every single person in the room paid $55,000 to be in that room. And as I looked around, I noticed one thing. There wasn't a single person who was overweight. Why is that? It's because successful people, successful lawyers know the way you take care of your health sets up your entire life. If you want to learn how to get yourself in shape, I want you to watch this video because I interviewed Adam Gilbert from My Body Tutor, and I actually worked with My Body Tutor to lose 40 pounds and get in the best shape of my life and actually keep it off. I've kept it off for 2 years now at 40 years old. So watch this video and learn how you can change your life as well, because if you're gonna be successful, you've got to start by taking care of your health first. I was at a mastermind last week, and it's $55,000 to be in the room. So it's all really high level entrepreneurs. Not a single one was fat. And I thought that was really, really interesting that there's a correlation between being in shape and taking care of yourself and being successful in other areas of your life. You run a business where you help high level people get into the best shape of their lives. So talk to me about what you see. Like, am I imagining this, or is that something that is actually a real thing where there's a correlation between the two?
When you conquer yourself, you feel like you can conquer the world. It gives you confidence, it gives you energy. Time after time, I mean, we work with tons of entrepreneurs, tons of lawyers, and they're always saying how after they got in shape, they went on to have the best year of their career. And there's no doubt, it's not a coincidence.
It's funny because when I was in my 20s, I could kind of get away with whatever I wanted. When I was in my 30s, I could get away with a little less. But as soon as I turned 40, it just seems like I have one bad meal and I feel it for the next 3 days. There's definitely a difference between how I eat and how productive I am during the day. One of the things that I really like about services like My Body Tutor, and truthfully, this is how I lost 40 pounds and got back into shape, is the accountability side of it. Everybody knows how to lose weight, right? I mean, it's eat less and move more. But why does accountability help with that? And like, what's the real way that you actually need to do it? Because everybody knows what you're supposed to do, but why do we have such an obesity problem in this country?
I could go on for a long time about that, but I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I mean, I started this in 2007. We're on year 16. There's always been a lack of knowledge is not the real issue, but it's a lack of consistent action, right? That's the hard part. And I've obsessed over why is consistency so hard, because I truly think that is the biggest problem in health and fitness, is a lack of consistency. It is not about a lack of knowledge. For me, it really comes down to three things. Number one, the diets that we try to follow are not sustainable to begin with. So you can only follow a cookie diet or a shake diet or a lettuce diet or a no carb diet or whatever the popular diet of the month or year is for so long. And so often we try to start these crazy diets and we're doomed to failure from the start. So the first thing we're doing with our clients is making sure we have a plan for them that is catered to them, that is customized to them, that is based on the realities of their life. Number two, most plans really only focus on the food you're eating. I call it a food diet, where the only thing that changes is the food you're eating. But if that's the case, you're not going to change for the long term. A big part of what we focus on is what we call your MPH. M for mindset, P for psychology, and H for habits. When you change your relationship with food, right? When you overcome things like stress eating, emotional eating, you don't need willpower anymore. Typically, we start at a diet. Day one, we're raring to go. By day 20, we're hanging out by the skin of our teeth. When you actually change your relationship with food and habits and mindset, it really does get easier and easier as time goes on, and that's the idea. And then last but not least is a lack of accountability. Without accountability, it's too easy to make excuses. It's too easy to rationalize to ourselves. And in terms of why it actually works, I think, we're all really good at making promises to other people, but when it comes to ourselves, we're constantly letting ourselves down. We're constantly breaking them. External accountability, for many people, it's a game changer because someone else is there caring about you, checking on you, making sure you're doing what you said you would do.
If I want to start getting in shape, let's say I'm a little overweight, not happy the way that I look in the mirror. Like for me, I needed to lose like 45 pounds. That's pretty overwhelming, especially for someone who has a lot of starts and stops and it doesn't actually work. So what is like the way to actually get on the track to success?
The first thing is having a plan that you feel good about, one that is actually realistic and practical. And it might sound like common sense, but it's not common practice because, again, so often we're starting these crazy diets. You want to come up with a plan or get a plan or have a plan that you feel like you can stick to no matter what. If you go into a plan or a program, whatever it is, and you feel good about it and you feel hopeful about it, then you're going to put forth effort. And if you put forth effort, you're going to see results. On the flip side, if you go into a plan and there's a part of you that's like, there's no way I can stick with this. This isn't realistic. This isn't practical. Then you're going to put forth minimal effort, and then you're going to get minimal results, right? And it becomes this vicious cycle. The number one thing is you have to feel good about the plan. You have to feel hopeful about it.
So what are the components of a good plan when somebody's just trying to start out?
To me, a good plan is one that you feel like you can stick with no matter what. One of our core components is that we want you to be fit and happy, not fit and miserable. A good plan allows you to enjoy your favorite food, right? It allows you to partake in the fun meals, etc. It allows you to not have to be at the gym for hours a day or to never enjoy your favorite food. It is very sustainable, right? You want to go into each day feeling like I can stick with this no matter what. And the big mistake a lot of people make is they think they have to change everything. And if you try to change everything once, you wind up changing nothing at all. So my suggestion is start small. Start with small little changes that you feel like you can do.
If somebody's just trying to get started and just kind of have some like principles, like, do you recommend counting calories? Do you recommend keto? What do you actually recommend? It sounds like you don't recommend these like a fad diet, kind of like keto, but like if I wanted to sit down and say, okay, there's some principles, because I'm really big on rules. What are some concrete rules that somebody can set for themselves so that they can start going down the path to turning everything around and getting back in shape?
I think there's a bunch of things. I think number one that's always helpful is to decide what you're going to eat ahead of time. I know for a lot of people, meal planning and meal prepping is really unrealistic. On a Sunday to plan or to cook all your meals for the week. But one thing you can do that is really helpful is every morning, as soon as you wake up, decide what you're going to eat next. After you eat that next meal, decide what you're gonna eat next. So you never wanna be deciding in the moment, right? It's so much easier to avoid the dragon than it is to slay it. So number one, never make food choices in the moment. You wanna make them, after you eat and when you're not hungry, when you're not, irrational and ravenous. Number two, it's always helpful to pause before you eat. It allows you to decide if you're actually hungry for food or hungry for something else. A big part of what we focus on is your MPH, and part of that is emotional eating, stress eating. So much of the hunger we have is not actually for food, it's for something else. So before you eat anything, even if it's a healthy food or a snack, pause before you eat and say, am I hungry for food or am I hungry for something else? I would say number three is as you're eating, focus on eating slowly. I know we're all busy, we have a million things to do, life is crazy, but try to just savor the flavor. Almost act as if you're a food critic. Try to savor the flavor. A really powerful way to do that is utensils down between bites and sips of water between bites of food. It'll just allow you to feel how you feel as you're eating. Because so often, even with our favorite foods, we daydream about it all day long, and then when we eat it, we're just, shoveling into our mouths. We're not appreciating it. Number four is pick your indulgences, right? Again, this is not about never enjoying your favorite food. We want you to be fit and happy, not fit and miserable. But instead of using food after a long day, and there's a big difference between enjoying versus using, pick when you're going to indulge, right? Maybe it's a date night with your significant other, maybe it's a fun meal with your kids, your friends, whatever it might be, but decide ahead of time. So this way you get to enjoy the anticipation of it, right? Because, if someone asks me if I can have my favorite meal tonight or in a week from now, I would actually choose in a week from now, because then I get to look forward to it all week, and then I get to enjoy it as well, right? It's like a vacation. You plan a vacation, part of the fun part of a vacation is looking forward to it. So pick your indulgences ahead of time. When you're eating it, enjoy it. There's no reason to feel guilty. And I think that's a really good start.
Those are actually really good tips. I want to share a couple also that Matt, who was my tutor when I was with my body tutor, that he gave me that really helped also. And one of them was that it takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain that you're full. We've all had a big meal where afterwards we're still hungry. That happens to me like pretty much every meal. I'm still hungry after I eat. But I actually I have a Amazon Echo, and I set a timer for 20 minutes. And after 20 minutes, if I'm still hungry, then I eat something else. But if I'm not hungry, then I don't eat anything. And 9 times out of 10, I'm actually not hungry anymore. Where most of the time before, I would have gone and had another snack or gone and had seconds or something like that. And just that little piece right there made such a big difference. The other thing that I learned is that a lot of times thirst disguises itself as being hungry. So what I do is I just drink a lot of water during the day so I'm not dehydrated, because you get a lot of water from food. If you're dehydrated, you actually might feel like you're hungry and you're actually thirsty, and that's going to cause you to eat when you're not actually hungry. The third thing that really helped me that he taught me was the rule behind indulgences. Stop and you ask yourself, is this memorable? If you're sitting around eating chips, watching TV, it's probably not that memorable. You're not going to remember it, right? But if there's something where you eat it, you're going to remember it 2 weeks from now, have at it. And it's a really good filter to make you really kind of think, is this something that's worth it? Because there's certain things, like my favorite thing in the world is like a meat lover's pizza. You know what I mean? I can't do it all the time, but if it's a situation where I'm at like a really good place that has like amazing looking pizza, if I'm going to remember it in 2 weeks, yeah, I'm going to have a piece or I'm going to have whatever. That's actually a reason why accountability works so much, is because you can learn from their experiences and kind of the tricks of how they've gotten to where they are. It kind of goes back to my rule of life. which is if you want to achieve anything in life, just look at somebody who's already done what you want to do, whether it's be successful in business, whether it's you get a six-pack, whatever it is, and just pay them to show you how they did it. And you bypass all this frustration and all this time and all that type of stuff. So My Body Tutor has two programs. One is where there's daily accountability calls, and the other is basically like text messaging and stuff. Do you see a difference in the people that stick with the accountability calls every day in terms of their long-term results compared to the people that are not really engaged with it?
It's just so fun to hear you espouse our principles and philosophies in terms of the memorable test and 20 minutes and all that. It's great.
That's one of my things in life, is that not only do I take my advice to find someone and pay them to show me how to do it, but then the second part is do exactly what they say because they achieved something that you didn't. So that's why I'm successful at everything I do, is because I pay people and then I do what they say. I don't argue with them and I don't tell them they're wrong and I don't pretend that I know better.
I mean, the most successful people I know what they're really good at, and they know where they need help and they get help. But to answer your question, it's hard to tell. I wish I could kind of run a study where I have the same person and see how they would do on both plans. The core component of their program is each day you're sharing what you ate with our coach in our app. You're uploading a photo of what you ate, you're writing a brief description of what you ate, and every single day your coach is writing back to you. The only difference is one of the plans has daily phone calls. It's hard to tell. I mean, listen, if someone asked me which program is better, I don't like to spend people's money, but there's no doubt having a daily phone call certainly raises the level of support, raises the level of accountability.
So I can tell you I did both. I started with just the text messages. And honestly, I didn't like the text messages because I'm the type of person that I needed that accountability. And accountability to me is really what makes this program work. And it's funny because it's not cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than the alternative, which is high health costs and feeling like crap all the time and being overweight. And like, it's like I would tell people, I pay somebody $600 a month to call me every morning and talk about what I ate. And they're like, wow, why? That's a lot of money. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's like ridiculously cheap. $600 to have somebody that's going to hold me accountable to getting in shape. And not only that, but like, I'm going to feel great. I'm going to look great. I'm going to extend my life. Every habit takes repetition, right? I'm at the point now where I don't do it anymore because of the fact that I did it for a year and a half and I built that habit up to where I just eat well now. When I first started, let's say I'm going out to a restaurant or something, I have to make a choice. Am I going to have the French fries or am I going to have the broccoli? Part of it was what's good for me, but the second part was, what do I want to talk about tomorrow? Do I want to talk about why I had the French fries when I knew there was broccoli there or whatever? It really held me accountable and it forced me to make that decision. And I think that accountability is something that a lot of us don't have. I'm disciplined in a lot of areas, but food wasn't one of those areas. So I bought the accountability, and it makes such a big difference in terms of like having to actually talk every day about what I ate and why I made those decisions and knowing that I should have made other decisions. One thing that I had to learn when I started with the program was how to even eat. Like, I didn't even realize that meals should have carbs, fats, proteins. I just thought you just eat whatever and then you're full. And I also thought that all calories were created equal, right? So if I eat 2,000 calories of potato chips, that's the same as eating 2,000 calories of anything, right? What's the right way that you're actually supposed to eat a meal?
I mean, listen, there's a billion different ways to eat correctly. I think the best way to eat well when you're trying to lose weight or improve your fitness is to solve for hunger. And typically for most people, protein is what is going to satiate them the most. It's not that carbs are bad for you, it's that typically when we eat carbohydrates, we want more and more of them, right? We become insatiable, right? So for example, pizza or cookies, like for me, it is actually much easier to eat no cookies than some cookies, right? For some people, it's easier to abstain than to moderate. But I like to fill my plate up with protein. I always like to ask myself, what protein am I eating? And then I start from there. Ideally, you would have some vegetables and greens because they give us a lot to eat for hardly any calories. And then there's nothing wrong with carbohydrates. There's great carbohydrates, sweet potatoes, rice, oatmeal. The best thing you can do is build your meal around a protein. If you wanted to get crazy and have like a pie chart, it would be like, say, 50% protein, 25% vegetables, 25% carbs. Solving for hunger, to me and in our experience, again, we've been at this for 16 years now, is the best way to make someone feel as comfortable as possible as they're embarking on a fitness journey.
I found that the protein thing really works well for me. And I think a lot of it also is that it's trying to experiment with different things and figuring out what works best for you. I eat my weight in grams of protein, and that usually keeps me pretty full for the day. And then after that, I have, a certain amount of calories that I'm trying to hit. I usually am around 2,300 calories a day. That actually works really well for me because what I find is that when I eat the protein, that makes sure that I'm eating really good food and I make sure that I'm having like ground turkey is a really good one, like lean ground turkey. And I find that I'm really not that hungry throughout the day. And the easiest thing for me is just like you said, it's meal prepping. And what I do is I plan out my day every day. In the morning, I say, okay, here's what I'm going to eat. And I just stick to that. That way you don't have to think about it, because it's kind of taking the decision-making process out of it. When you have to make less decisions, then you're less likely to make bad decisions.
You know, we all have limited willpower, and we want to use our limited willpower to set ourselves up where we don't need willpower later on. And we want to get everything to be habitual and for you to feel like it's second nature. And I'm thrilled to hear it. I mean, that is the goal. And that's why I believe when we do also in terms of like, you know, you're not buying food from us, you're not buying supplements. It's just about behavior modification. And when you actually change your behavior and you do it the right way, then, you know, you'll have the skills and behaviors for the rest of your life.
You know, there's this concept that one of my mentors, his name's Myron Golden, talks about. It's called be, do, have. And basically, everybody wants to have the thing. To have the thing, you got to do the stuff, right? So everybody wants to have a body that's in shape, right? Or have a six pack, or whatever it is. To have that thing, you have to do what it takes to get to that level. So you have to eat well, you have to exercise. But in order to eat well and exercise, you have to become the person that values eating well, that makes those decisions, that exercises. I don't even necessarily think you have to enjoy exercise, because I really don't enjoy exercise, but I know that I have to do it, you know? So I've become that type of person. And I think that that's the problem for so many people. That was my problem, was that I wasn't the type of person that did that. Because like I said, everybody knows eat less, move more. That's the basic fundamentals. But the reality is that sometimes we need that extra push to make us become that person. We talked a lot about food. What do you think about exercise? Exercise sounds great, but at the end of the day, I'm tired and I don't want to go to the gym because I've been working all day. Like, what's your suggestion for that? What's your cure for the exercise?
To your point though, just, you know, yes, eat less and move more, but as we know, knowing what to do and actually doing is very different. And I think that's where people get in trouble with themselves, is because they feel like, oh, I should just be able to do that. But knowing what to do and actually doing is very different, because again, you have to have a plan that's catered to. You have to really change your mindset, psychology, and habits. So much success is what's going on between your ears, and then the accountability. With exercise, I think it's really important to view exercise as a key to energy, stress relief, and a better mood. So I think a big misconception about exercise is it's the key to weight loss, right? If I want to lose weight, you know, got to be in the gym for hours a day. But the reality is 80% of body composition of weight loss is diet. It's about what, why, and how we eat. Viewing exercise as a way to improve your mood, improve your energy, decrease your stress is very powerful versus something I have to do because I want to lose weight, right? Put your energy towards eating better if you want to lose weight. For exercise, I would always start off with what you like doing. And maybe for some people, it's just going for a walk. A big thing that gets in the way for people is they feel like if they can't have the perfect workout, then they don't do anything at all, right? It's like all or nothing. And I always like to say all or nothing leads to nothing every single time. Start small. For example, if you're, you know, don't usually wake up early and you say, this week I'm deciding on to wake up early and exercise. You're actually trying to do two new things. You're trying to exercise and wake up early, right? That's a lot of change at once. It's much harder to just, you know, try to do something 100% and stick with it, because that usually doesn't last.
I've also found that like there's simple things that I do in my day that make a difference. Like, I don't know if you know, I'm standing right now, right? So I have a standing desk and I stand for probably half of my day and all my meetings. And just even little things like that where you're standing and moving and stuff like that, like it all really adds up in terms of just little activities. The other thing for me is, once again, accountability is my number one motivator. So I hired a personal trainer. Now, obviously not everybody has the funds to do this, but I look at it as an investment where, yes, it costs more money to hire the personal trainer than it does to go to pay the $12 at Planet Fitness. But everything I'm spending now is an investment in money that I'm not going to have to spend later because I'm out of shape and overweight and having all the health problems that are associated with that. So I'm really investing now rather than investing in the future. And you feel great when you do that. It's paying a payment, because if I know that I'm paying somebody that's holding me accountable to go to the gym every, a couple of days a week.
I think a lot of people are obsessed with the latest iPhone, the latest computer, the latest app. Better health and fitness is the ultimate productivity tool, because when you upgrade yourself, you're upgrading everything else, right? Instead of worrying about the apps or the phones or whatever, upgrade yourself and everything else improves. You're investing in yourself. That is the ultimate thing you can do for yourself, because you have more energy. You're the one running everything. I think investing in yourself and your own health and fitness is that's the secret there.
One of my mentors told me everything is hard. but it's either going to be hard now or hard later. So hard now meaning, you maybe don't eat everything that you want to eat all the time and you have some self-restraint. You go to the gym when you don't really feel like it sometimes, or it's going to be hard later when you didn't make those choices and you ate like crap and you didn't exercise and you're dealing with all these health problems. Going to the gym and being disciplined is hard, but so is being overweight and not being able to move and having health problems associated with being out of shape and everything. When I don't want to go to the gym, I'm like, yeah, well, this is hard, but not going to the gym is probably going to be harder later. And it's really changed my outlook on things, and it's changed my habits too with that mindset.
Easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. That's the way I like to think of it.
Easy choices. Yep, that's my home screen. And I look at that every morning at 5 o'clock when I don't want to get out of bed, and then I get out of bed. If people want to sign up for My Body Tutor, which I highly recommend everybody do, the program that I use to not only get in shape, but really change the way that I look at food and at exercise and at wellness. And it's that accountability that really actually went from a bunch of false starts to not only losing the weight and getting in shape, but actually keeping it off for 2 years now and staying in shape and keeping these habits. I mean, I'm 40 years old. I've been trying this my whole life. And this is the first thing that's actually made a difference. So everyone, I recommend that you do it.
Hearing that makes me so happy. It's truly why I do what I do. I started this, not to go too much into a rabbit hole, but my father was sick when I was growing up as a kid. I witnessed him have a heart attack. I saw him, have triple bypass surgery. A year later, he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So seeing him deteriorate mentally and physically throughout the years until he passed away was obviously really hard. And for me, helping people improve their health and fitness, that's my life's work. So hearing you and seeing you, you look amazing, and hearing how you're sustaining it, that's what we're after. So, you can go to mybodytutor.com. The website's pretty self-explanatory, but if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is adam@mybodytutor.com. But ultimately what we do for our clients is we devise a diet and exercise plan for you that's catered and customized to you. And then most importantly, we help you stick with it through daily support, daily coaching, and daily accountability. So the fact that we're in communication with you every single day, guiding you, supporting you, coaching, holding you accountable is the key, right? That's why we get the results we do. And, I would love to work with you. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. I'm here to help. We've been at this for 16 years now, and we'd love to make you our next success story.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today on here. Really appreciate it. It definitely makes a big difference, not just for me, but I know other people that have gone through the program also, that it's made a huge difference in their lives as well.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a lot of fun.